I think the left has done some 4D warfare over the last several years to where they own the schools, they own the courts. So even if something goes to court, they're going to win. I'll be honest, I saw that Trump had many legal paths to win, and the Supreme Court didn't do anything. Mike Pence didn't do anything. Those were two slam dunk victories that Trump could have had, and it didn't go that way. I was in Washington, D.C. the other day.
Oh, you were?
I was.
Oh, my God. How many people were there?
It's hard to tell. I mean, let's say on the low end, Trump has 75 million supporters. I think it's higher because I think a lot of votes were taken away and flipped to where it was like a double whammy. I think there's people that didn't vote. I think there's children that weren't of age that, 17, 16-year-olds that are Trump supporters. I'd have to say there's probably 80 to 100 million Trump supporters who are not going anywhere. It's a movement. It's not so much the man. If Ted Cruz was the president, we would have loved him just as much, and he would have been the boogeyman built up by CNN, and he would have been hated just as much. The same exact things that happened to Trump would have happened to Cruz. So as far as how many people were there, I'd say on the low end, 0.5% of his supporters, 375,000 people were there. And out of the 375,000 people, a small portion of that went to the Capitol. Out of the people that went into the Capitol was a small portion. So you had like a 0.5% of a 0.5% of a 0.5%. And some of those people were Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They've already been arrested. We've seen T-shirts there when we were there that had Antifa T-shirts there. So when we were all walking to the Capitol, it was announced that Pence was not going to do anything. And people were all disappointed and very, very sad. So as we were getting to the Capitol, people were really kind of disappointed.
Angry.
Sad. Some, maybe, like I said, 0.5% of a 0.5% of a 0.5% were angry.
Frustrated?
Same thing as angry.
So how much of the crowd do you think did something objectionable that everyone is being now smeared with a broad brush?
Well, that's just what the media does. They've always done it that way. So it's not surprising. It's just what is surprising is how many people on the other side just blindly believe it. They'll believe anything that's sold to them, and they don't care. And the hatred of one person that they don't know, of a stranger that they've never met, see, the right doesn't hate Biden. They don't go on Twitter and Facebook saying they wish he was going to die. We didn't hate Hillary. We didn't go on Twitter every day saying, senile lady bad or dementia man bad. We didn't say that about them. But that's all they do is they say orange man bad, we want him to die. Somebody they've never met, they don't know. You know who didn't know him was Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson was the leading person going into Iowa, and he got to know Trump. He could have endorsed any of the other 17 candidates. He could have endorsed none of them. He got to know Trump, and so everybody that has met Trump, that's got to know Trump, likes Trump. I've been to Trump rallies. No hatred, no anger at Trump rallies. I've been to rallies in Arizona and Nevada and Wisconsin. Just all people, just all happy, very diverse. Just like today, you can see the diversity. You have blacks for Trump here. You have Hispanics for Trump here. You have Jews for Trump here. You have gays for Trump here. So very diverse. Destroys the.
So the allegations that these people are like Jim Crow South segregationists.
We're doing a bad job. If there's a racist Trump supporter, then they're racist against liberals. Just like liberals are the most racist group, they're very racist against conservatives.
Liberals are?
Liberals are racist against conservatives.
And how will conservatives be protected from discrimination on political views?
They probably can't be at this point. They own the House, they own the Senate, they own the judges, they own the schools, they own everything.
You think we need laws to protect?
They're not going to change the laws.
Augment the laws to include political viewpoints along with race, preference, gender, religion.
Who's going to change them? The left's not going to change that. They're in charge.
You think these people, your affinity group here, could be mobilized to call for that change, to demand it?
But there's 100 million of us. What I think is more realistic, since they own everything on the other side, and it's actually worse in Canada, worse in Australia, worse in Europe, worse in Asia. There's no place to move to. So a state like Texas is going to have to secede from the union, and everybody's going to move to Texas, and then another state will do it. And that's probably the only way we can do it. Now, there will be a battle. Who's going to own the military? They'll have to get their own military. How are they going to get their food? They'll have to have it imported. Is it going to be poisoned? Is it going to be super expensive, like $1,000 for a thing of lettuce? So it's going to have to be, there's going to have to be a lot of thought into if some state secedes. But if a state like Texas secedes, that'll probably be the best thing, since the left is going to own everything and try to destroy everybody's lives.